So you didn't know how to play guitar prior to this, or?
No, before I did when I decided to do music, I had no idea how to play guitar, and I'd never sang in front of anybody.
So what? How do you tell your parents, I'm quitting school to play guitar?
I mean, I didn't yet. I just called them and I was like, "Hey, college isn't working out. I'd really like to head back home." And they're like, "Not in this house." They're like, "We'll help you find a place, but like you're gonna gain your independency."
Mhm.
So it was
I
pretty
do want
cool.
to start with just life as an indie artist. Like, how is that like right now? What was it like? What was the moment that you said, "Hey, you know what? It's time for me to go to Nashville."
Well, I said that 3 years before I did it. Um, I was living in Florida. I grew up in Florida, and I was shortly after I graduated from high school, I went to college briefly for like a semester, and I quickly decided that college wasn't for me. And then my grandpa passed away. He was a bluegrass picker, and music runs in my family. So I like immediately was like I had a realization. I was like, um, why am I in school for business management? I'm gonna I'm gonna go work on a farm. Do something like pretty simple to me where I can learn some basic uh, traits, and uh, after work, I'll just YouTube how to play guitar every day for however many years it takes. And that's what I did. And I just started playing locally, and eventually I was like, all right.
So how did that process go? How did you quit school? What was like the first step in getting into that music career?
The first step was really it was a lot of self-discovery. I had to discover a confidence in myself over the course of several years while I was literally driving around a tractor like 8, 9 hours a day sometimes. That was most of my weeks for those few years, and I would just plug in whatever was on the radio, and then we had a tractor finally that had like an aux cord, and I'd plug it in, and I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna play whatever I want now," and I would sing all day. I would sing all day.
Now, did you do any songwriting when you're on the tractor, or any ideas come to mind, or?
Yeah, constantly,
Mhm.
constantly. And I, I think I still have them. They're not so good, but
They can be redone though, right? They can always be
hey,
remixed.
there's like, I'm a melody guy. Like I come up with my melodies first before I usually come up with words. And I have like years of voice memos in my phone, and they have all come to light. Like even the first ones that I ever did, if it was like a 15-minute long rant of me just like trying to figure out some sort of sound that I'm hearing in my head, um, there's always a piece of it that can be taken.
What was the first song you played on guitar?
The first song I played on guitar was Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen.
Ooh.
I did it. I was like, I kept listening to this Jeff Buckley rendition of it.
Mhm.
I was just obsessed with it. I mean, I was going through a breakup around the time that I was like first able to like actually play guitar and sing at the same time, because that took a while.
Mhm.
And I was I was going through it, and like it was one of those pivotal, like it was like life changes, and that song really was one of those songs that got me through it. Like I understood it. I lived out in the middle of the woods, in the middle of nowhere. I had like this Airstream trailer next to the farm,
Wow.
and I was like 19, 20. Yeah, that was about 20 at this time, 2021. And I would just be outside, and I found myself like just belting it, and I was like, all right, I should probably get in front of some people by now. I mean, just to see, because I don't even know, you hear your own voice all day, every day. You don't know if you're good or not, especially if you never tested in front of people. So it was
Well, who was the first person who told you, "Hey, you are pretty good at this"?
um, my best friend, Tristan Tritt,
Oh,
um, which was really cool. It was very validating to hear him say that, because he's a musician himself, and his dad is too. And I look up to his dad a lot, as does he. And it was like, oh my God. he just said I'm good. And then he was like, dude, if you, because I was so scared to get up in front of anybody. He was like, dude, if you don't, by March 3rd, and it was like 2 months I had. He was like, if you don't do an open mic, sing at least one song in front of I don't care how many people by March 3rd. And it was some sort of crazy consequence. I can't remember, but he was like, you're just never going to make it. Like, you're never going to do it. You're never going to do it. He's like, never, it's never going to be a perfect time. Just get up and do it. Mess up however bad. And so I signed up for an open mic. I did not know how big this open mic was. There was 350 people there. And I caught up and sang Hallelujah, and it actually went really well. Like when I like came out of my basically blackout, when you're like you're so terrified that you're like you don't even really know what you're. So like that happened, and then I was like, I just did that. Oh my God. I showed my emotions to people. That's weird. Um, and I looked around, and there was like people standing up and clapping, and like there's people crying, and I was like, whoa, okay. So I am feeling something like I'm not crazy. I'm headed in the right direction.
So now, and that was in Florida, right?
Yeah, that was in Florida.
So how long, what day was that? Was that March 2nd or March 1st, or how long did you?
It was a couple days shy of that for sure.
So, so from how long from then did you go to decide, hey, Nashville is next? We're
I
going.
had to do some more local gigging, so I played around town at a few different small hole in the wall bars. 4-hour gigs where nobody's listening. You got to cut your teeth somehow. So I started doing that, and as well as I was like, I need to learn more songs before I can go out and do all this stuff. And I didn't know where to start. I didn't know how to write a song
So
myself.
were they fun? Were they fun to do, or were they at the same time stressful in the sense that, oh God, there's 10 people in the bar and nobody's listening right now. They're all drinking.
And then, yeah,
I
yeah,
gotta do
well,
this for the rest of my life, right? I know I don't want to do it next time, or
it was like sometimes it was cool because there'd be like one person that was like, "Good job," but I mean, there was also usually like one guy that's like, "Dude, play Creed or whatever," and I'm like,
ooh.
I'm singing like Josh Turner right now. That's like not that close to Creed. I don't know where you're getting this from, and he's like, "You suck," and I'm like, "All right, whatever."
Did anybody ask you to play Stairway to Heaven, or did
Dude, like the most ridiculous requests, and I was like, "All right, okay, all right, okay." So the general crowd doesn't understand how difficult playing guitar is and like singing is, and like that you have to remember all the words and you have to practice it like for hours. And so I was like, man, ooh, okay, I just got to keep at this. And my buddy Tristan's dad, Travis's voice rang in my head. He was like, man, you got to be a human jukebox in those days. Like when you're doing the cover gigs, you got to be able to play the songs. And so I just like sat down every day after I got off the farm, and I would just learn a new song, learn a new chord, learn a new whatever.
how far out of your genre did you have to go? Did you start going? At least to start
Oh,
learning.
I've never been in a genre. I just started playing country to people because that's like kind of I was in a really rural area, so I love country, and it was just kind of like I related to it a lot, and I still relate to it a lot. Obviously, because I'm putting out country-ish music. It's like I call it pop country. Um, but I've always, man, my first CD that I burned because I guess I started hopping in trucks, or there wasn't an aux cord yet. It's just we were just like a year away from it. But the first CD I burned had like Lil Wayne and then Jason Aldean right next to it, and it was just like all over the place. Like I listened to Drake. I just grew up listening to everything, like anything. There's not something from every walk. There's something from every walk of life that I have fell in love with. Yeah.
Well, did you know Travis Tritt enough to where he can give you advice on how to get to Nashville and make it and start progressing?
Oh, I asked. His advice was not what I wanted to hear. He said, stay the hell away from Nashville.
Damn.
And I was like, but I don't know what to do. And he was like, I don't know, you'll figure it out. Basically, I mean, that's all I remember. There was other advice, but it like kind of flew over my head just because I needed to cut my teeth a lot more, you know? And I was like, I need to be around people better than me. I need to be in a place where I can learn from other musicians. So I think for me, the move is to go to Nashville and embrace whatever comes at me there.
So
And
what did you take with you? Or
to Nashville?
yeah, did you take the trailer with you, or did you just take a one little duffel bag?
No,
How's that? What
no,
kind of?
I, the story of that's kind of long-winded, but I ended up, it was like me and my deer head, like my one deer head, because I like to hunt. Not him, not I didn't have the opportunity to have a hunt with him yet, but I had like my one deer head, and then I was like, all right, I'm off. Um, and then like some sheets. And I just bought furniture when I got to Nashville.
So what is your like day-to-day life like now since you've been in Nashville?
It has dramatically changed since I moved here. When I moved here, I was like, where do I go? What do I do? Who's what? I didn't know anybody. And I was just like, Broadway? Okay, people play there. I just went and played there for like 2.5 years. And I figured I'd gotten over my stage fright by the time I was like hanging out of windows, like yelling at people to stop. And like I had people gather around the windows. And like I was learning how to get people's attention because I was starting to get annoyed of the 10 people not listening. And then turned into like, I was like, how do I get more people in the bar? I got to yell out the window or whatever. Like, and then I was like, all right, what do I do next? I got to write my own songs. I got to really, really like put it out there. So I started, I think pieces just kind of fell into place. As far as songwriting, I just started meeting the right people that I really clicked with. And then we were able to write some songs that I was really proud of.
What is your songwriting, I guess, formula like now since you've been in Nashville?
Anything that comes out.
Hmm.
I've always had that mindset. Just try not to box ourselves into any sort of genre in general or idea for that matter, and to not just to come from our own place, come from our own heart, and not try to chase any ideas or any sounds that already exist. Obviously, we have our influences, and you know we love Aldean, and we love Morgan Wallen, and we love all these other artists that have influenced our music. But I mean, the process for me is just like get in there and whatever's going on in whoever's life that's the most like prominent right now in the room, we'll talk about it, we'll relate to it, and we'll like it's almost like a therapy session sometimes. Like we'll be like, what's going on? You all right? or like somebody's like, this just happened, I'm stoked, and we're like, all right, let's get excited about it. Let's write something about it. It'll just fall out. And like, sometimes it's easy. Sometimes it's, like banging my head against the wall for an hour or two.
Well, something like Tell That to Her Heart. How did that come about? Is that a
Tell That to a Heart.
emotional?
Me and the guys sat down that day. Did I write that? I wrote that with, Casey Timmer and, it might have just been me, Casey Timmer, and Brad Wagner. I'm gonna double check. Yeah, it was just me, Casey Timmer, and Brad Wagner. Brad Wagner's my producer, and a really good friend of mine. The three of us sat down that day, and I was just going through some stuff, man. Like I kept trying to date. And every time I'd get close enough, I would just be like, no, this ain't it. Like, I gotta go. And it's like, damn, that sucks. That sucks for the other person. That sucks for me. And I was like, I'm just not over the last girlfriend I had. That's what it is. And it was like, no matter how many times, I can't speak logic to my heart. Like whatever I'm feeling, I'm feeling. There's nothing, I just really got to go through it. And time and writing these songs helps. But like, that's where Tell That to a Heart came from.
Now,
Yeah.
is social media like a big help for you these days, or?
I hate to say it because I uh I haven't liked it. Um I'm more of an in-person guy. Like I want to see people's faces. I want to see the reactions. That way, like I know, like I like to read the room kind of thing. And so I have a hard time when it's just a lens on me and I'm like, oh, let me just assume what a million people might see and be like, that's nice. I really, I'm into this.
Like they'll do a little dance in the back or just a little lip sync, and you're like, yeah, that'll.
Yeah, and I'm just like, my thing is, dude, I really would just rather be candid all the time. And like, not, I just feel like a lot of social media influencers, no hate against them. It just feels to me like something I couldn't do because it feels like there's a lot of inauthenticity going on. And I'm like, I have a hard time with that. So I'm like, if I'm not feeling a song and I'm like, they're like, you have to put a video out today or the algorithm won't like you. I had to kind of force myself through that for a while. I still do sometimes, but it has ended up working in our favor, in my favor. For me, I had to get some help. So I've built a team. Day-to-day life here in Nashville looks a lot different now than it did when I first moved here. So I got a studio in my house. My producer Brad's constantly over. He's writing songs even if I'm not part of it. And my manager lives next door to me, and I have a tour manager now, and like we just got a lot going on now, and it's just really exciting. And we're kind of just going. We're like, all right, what do we do next? Because my manager's not from the field of music. He has a military background, so he was excited to jump into the music world, and like because he had a buddy, and that was my buddy, and he was helping us both, and he was just like, I don't know really exactly what I'm doing, but I'm here to learn with you. And he was like the first person that was like, hey, I want to help you. And he was the first person like in the whole music scene that didn't just absolutely blow smoke. You know what I'm saying? Like most people are like, oh, dude, we're gonna go to the top in like 5 minutes. I'm like, glitter and gold sounds great.
Well, how do you sort that out? How do you sort out the from the authentic?
You get fooled. My dad always taught me, he's like, you got to pay to learn somehow.
Mhm.
He's like, you can't just start out knowing everything. So quit going easy with your feet. Take some risks. There's only one way to find out how to do business and how to get in front of a crowd and how to not be scared of it and how to entertain them and blah, 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 et cetera. He's like, you're going to have to pay to learn. And so I just kind of embraced that mantra. I always heard his voice ringing in my head when something, like when I would get screwed over or like lied to or come up short or whatever. I'd just be like, this is part of the process. And if I don't just grit through it and move on, get next thing, just run to the next thing.
More music. Did you have any hopes, dreams of being a point guard somewhere? Or?
Yeah, actually, I was just gonna bring that up. That was another thing that basketball taught me. I was crazy about basketball. I was like, I want to go to college for this, and I want to be in the NBA. That was like my dream when I was in like middle school, if you asked me then. And I worked hard. I was like, I just want to be tall. I really hope I'm tall. I wanted to dunk so bad, and I wanted to stop getting the ball taken from me. So I worked as hard as I could to beef up and a little bit at least. That's a really intense cardio sport. You're losing a lot of weight most of the time. So,
So what is your
I,
height? What were you?
um, man, I didn't hit my growth spurt until probably the 10th grade.
Mhm.
So when I did hit that, I was probably 6'2", 6'3".
Nice. So what was your scouting report
They
on?
were like, don't forget that guy's running around in the corner while the ball's over there, because I was really good at slipping away and getting in the corner for a three. I love shooting threes. Um, and most of the time I could take you off the dribble. Uh, I would fake jab step and I would be able to kind of get around you. And I was pretty good at mid-range jumpers. Um, wasn't a very strong ball handler, um, but let me loose. Do not let me in front of you. By the time I was probably the first game of like my junior year, I was able to dunk finally. Like I'd worked so hard at it. Box jumps and all these types of workouts. I was just like constantly YouTubing. What do these athletes do? Reading articles.
Mhm.
But yeah, that was the report on me.
So how much? I mean, how much working out did you have to do? I mean, to get that first dunk. Like
I was sore. I was sore all the time. I think I would come home from school or after practice, and my dad he was so great, man. Like this is something that I'll take with me. No matter how his day was at work, after work, he would see me out there, and he was like, you know what? I'm gonna put a light up for him, and I'm gonna put some concrete underneath that goalpost, so that he can have some light, and it's like an actual something that he can really practice on. So he set that up, and no matter how his day was after work, he'd come out there, flip the light on about sunset, and he would rebound, throw me the ball, talk to me, and I'd just be out there practicing, and then I'd get up there and try to touch the backboard on either side. There was all kinds of exercises, and I had he built me boxes, jump from one to the other. There was just all kinds of exercises for it, and I was just outside every day after school doing it until like 9 p.m. or something, until I was tired.
So
But
who'd you emulate your game after?
I went to a lot of Magic games because I live near Orlando.
Mhm.
I really liked JJ Redick's game because he was playing for them at the time, and he was somebody that I was like, all right, he's like a pretty tall dude. I look like I could probably be a similar build when I get to his age. Like I think I could watch what he's doing, and I think I watched him for a while.
So what was that first dunk like?
Indescribable, like for me, because I'm not supposed to be able to do that. I was the scrawny, short, not athletic kid at the end of the bench in 7th grade that never got put in. I was not supposed to be able to do that. Damn, I barely made the cut like the first year that I was able to try out for basketball.
Mhm.
I remember coach pulled me in. He was like, "Hey, we were really on the fence about this, but we'll let you join the team. You got a bunch of pals on here, so we think it'd be good for the morale." I was like,
Nice. Nice.
"Thanks, morale. All right."
Yeah.
I had to go from the end of the bench, and I was usually pretty bummed out because my friends were like really good already, and I'd come home after the game. My dad never missed a game, but I'd come home after the game, and he'd be like fired up, and I'm like, "Why are you so excited?" "I didn't play." And he was like, "But when you did for 30 seconds, did you see what you did?" He was like, "Here's how we can," and it was like he like made something that seemed dismal. Like I was like, "I have no shot." He was like, "Being at the end of the bench is the best thing to be." And like he talked me through it. He was my hype man.
Mhm.
He was like, "Here's a Larry Bird video." Like he got me like DVDs and stuff, and he's like, "Watch this, watch that."
How'd you make the jump then? How'd you go from 30 seconds a game to starting five?
Just work every day. I didn't stop shooting. I didn't stop having I always had a basketball in my hand. If I wasn't in class, that's what I did. I just had a basketball in my hand. Got to the gym earlier than everybody else and stayed later.
Now,
Even if it was just, even if I was just exhausted and I just could shoot free throws for an hour. That's what I did. So,
you still shoot around or no?
when I can, I am not, I'm not what I used to be. I can see why a lot of athletes tap out or get injured now. I mean, just like, it's easy. It's easy to get hurt when you're in your, late 20s
So
for whatever reason.
what do you do now for working out?
I
Look that out of shape. So.
Oh no, I love to go run. I love to go run. I get bursts of energy. I'll go run a mile or two. 3-4 days a week probably. And then I hit the gym 5 or 6 days a week. I have a routine. I was always, like I said, I was the scrawny kid at the end of the bench, so I was always the one that coach was like, "Hey, get this kid a sandwich," and I was like, "I'll get my sandwich. I'm sick of hearing that." So yeah, I've been pretty consistent in the gym since high school. I just have never stopped.
You follow like a regular program or?
Yeah, I'll do I usually do a push day, so chest and tricep. I'll do 4 workouts each for both those muscles, and then the following day I'll do a pull. So I'll do four back exercises and then 4 bicep, and then I'll do legs entirely, and then I have a day where I'll throw in shoulder, and then I'll do kind of a full body thing, and then core. I'll throw in core when I can. So it's like sometimes and everyone's like, like the more we grow up and get jobs and stuff and like have stuff going on, like, I don't have time. I'm like, even if it's for like 20 minutes, just get in there and do what you can. Or even if you're exhausted. My favorite days at the gym are the ones that I didn't want to go. Where I was like, there's no way I'm getting off of the couch. Like I just finished working. I'm like I'm so tired.
It always seems like there's always something good that happens that day. The day you don't want to be there, something
Yeah.
unexpected, something unusual, something really good always kicks in. And
But those are the days where the real growth happens. There's never a perfect time. You're not always gonna feel motivated. Like I can't remember who said it, but somebody was like, dude, inspiration is BS. Like being motivated or whatever. I don't know. It was something like that. It was like, there's just never gonna be like, you're not gonna feel like you're on fire all the time. Like put them up, like just go, just show up.
I was gonna say, you do a lot of other things on the side as well, disc golf or water skiing, all that type of stuff.
Oh man, I've kind of, I've hit my head a lot. I've hit my head a lot in most of my life. So now I pretty much, I'll ski and I'll snow ski, and then I'll get on a wake surfboard. I love water sports, man. I just can't have my feet binded in anymore. I just hit my head too much.
What helps you best? What helps you best, at least for being on stage and performing?
For being on stage, what helps me best is running, cardio.
Now I do want to get into life on a farm. So what did you do for 8 hours back in the day?
Oh, I was either cutting grass. It was a lot of acreage, and it had to be maintained, and it was being built. So it was just being groomed and like I was there to make it better and to keep it maintained. So I did a lot of fence fixing, and sometimes I had to dig a ditch a little deeper because the water wasn't flowing right and it was flooding this field or flooding that road, and it was there was some of that. And then most days I was out cutting grass because there was so much grass that by the time I got done cutting the entirety of the property, the other end of the property needed to start getting cut again. And then some days I was put in a bobcat with a mulcher head, and I was out in like at the middle of the woods, and I had my like Beats pill speaker in there, and I was just jamming out. It is so loud, but I was just like eating up, clearing out some trees, clearing out like we called them parks. It was just so, it was to attract the deer and let more sunlight down, keep the big trees and like let them grow bigger and let them drop their. A lot of them had acorns or I guess that's what you call them anyway. It's been so long since I've been super into trees.
But
It's just more for the animals around to eat.
Is
So
Florida the big deer population? I didn't know that.
it is. They're not big, but they're there. There's a lot of them. And a lot of people, when I say, "Hey, I'm from Florida," they're like, "What do you know about country?" Or like, what do you know about like rural living?" I'm like, "You haven't been to Florida. Okay, that's cool." Yeah, like Florida's like super rural, most of it.
So where'd you pick up hunting at then? What was your first I guess your first experience?
I think my first experience was we had a hog. My cousin had his dad had some cows, and we would go out and we'd help his dad and some of his employees feed the cattle. This was before I even had my license, but I think my first experience was they had a hog problem. Like there was hogs just in there. They were trying to grow some. I can't remember. It was so long ago, but they were trying to grow some food. They were farmers, and they had cows out there, and there was just hogs just tearing it up. Just they would root around and just rip the grass apart, and it was they were like to me and my cousin, they're like, "Hey, we need you to go out there and take care of this," and we were like, "Okay." That was my first experience. It was actually I was like, whoa, I don't know if I like this. Like, I'm a pretty empathetic person, but I also saw how sometimes it was necessary. And, the more that I like grew up and was around the stuff and learned more about history in general, I was like, yo, this is where we came from. I feel like it's my rite of passage for me. I feel like it's my rite of passage as a man to call myself a man. I need to call myself a man. I need to know how to get food from the source in every way.
So what's your freezer filled with right now?
Elk.
Mm.
I have been super fortunate enough to get out west. I won't disclose the exact location, but with a bow, and I don't ever want to shoot a gun at an animal ever again. Almost like it's like cheating. Like now that I've used archery, like
Mm.
I've gone archery hunting with a bow and been like 15 yards away from one of the biggest animals I've ever seen and successfully like played the wind and the timing and didn't get they have like elk have the most powerful noses on the planet. They can see you 3 times, hear you twice, but if they smell you once, they're gone from like miles away too. So it's so much like hard work climbing up and down and chasing them and getting around the wind and just being able to get in a position to be able to pull the bow back it's an incredible feeling.
What's the mental focus like on that? Just to get that close, just to be that quiet, that patient, and then just launch it.
Dude, I mean, I get so lasered in. I mean, we'll get up before the sun and we'll start moving. We'll find our spot. We'll be like scoping. We'll be like, all right, we can see that, or they were here last night. We're projecting they'll come down while or they'll be going up to bed. They'll be going up to bed in the morning, or they'll be coming down to get some water at night. And so we'll just kind of like we'll be like, all right, the wind's going this way, and Pay attention to the thermals. That means like your smell will be wafting up the mountain if the temperature is rising. So not only do you have to pay attention to the wind, what direction, left or right, or northeast, west, south, but also up and down. So that determines your position, whether or not you get above them or below them. And it's all a guessing game. It's like you just got to predict where they might be. So much focus. It's like hours will go by, and I'll be like, and then we'll all be like, all right, I think the hunt's over. Like, I think we lucked out. We can't get them today. We gotta back out as to not scare them away or whatever. But you can track a group of them for weeks.
Once you do,
It's incredible. And still,
once you nail it, what's the best way to prepare it? Do you grill it? Do you fry it? How do you?
I've tried every which way. I think my favorite is I take it kind of easy. I like to keep the natural juices in. I don't know why, but I've really gravitated towards I'll either take it easy on the grill,
Mhm.
um, or in a pan too. Um, it just like anything. Even if I have to like put it in sort of a tinfoil situation on the grill and lightly salt it, lightly like pepper it. I don't really do much to them because they have so much natural flavor. But it's some of the best meat in the world, in my opinion.
Like, how much are you stocked for now? For months, years? How
I got
a good amount?
I would wager to say it depends on how often I eat it, but I would say I've got months worth. Yeah.
Do you have a strict diet right now, or do you have anything that you really follow, or are you still okay as
Uh,
is?
I'm getting, man, every year that passes, the more I can feel food affecting me.
Mm.
Like I didn't really notice how much a greasy cheeseburger, like how bad it made me feel, especially from like a fast food restaurant. I won't name any names, but I didn't realize how bad it made me feel until maybe like 2 years ago. Yeah. I was maybe like 25 before I was like, oh, I don't think cheeseburgers make me feel very good. And I'm also really tired right now and I'm gonna take a nap. And I can't miss my workout. You know what I mean? So then I get off the couch and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go work out. And my workout's just not good. If I'm, I just don't have the juice to get it done or to push that next rep to get any stronger. So I've been tuning into eating a lot healthier now.
Do you have to prepare like if you're on the road, you have to prepare like your own meals, or you take the elk with you, or
Occasionally. So we've we've got ourselves a pretty good situation. We have ourselves a bus now. It's like an old party bus, and we just kind of crash on it. However, and one of my best friend's dads, he hooked me up with it because we were like riding around in my truck or like in a van with a trailer, and it was not. You got to do it, but every like most musicians start out just road dogging it, like sitting straight up, falling asleep like that, going wherever. But I got I got pretty lucky, and my buddy's dad hooked us up with a pretty cool party bus that he
so
used to
what?
take us to the Magic games in. So it was like so nostalgic, dude. They were teared up. I was teared up the day that like I was driving it away because they were like, we used to take you and Lane was my best buddy. He played basketball with me.
Mhm.
We used to take you guys to those Magic games, and now you're driving off and you're using it to go play music. This is crazy.
I mean, you have to revamp it a little bit, or
Um,
modify it in any
when
way,
when
or
we can
that's
when we can afford it, we're gonna like in the off season because there's an off season for music, and it's just basically the holidays,
Mhm.
and then like mid-January it starts back up. But now my memory's getting better. To go back to your question, yeah, I'll meal prep for the weekend usually, and we'll put it in a fridge. We have a fridge on the bus. It's like a little mini fridge, and we'll just keep the bus on all weekend.
So
Keep the fridge running.
last question. What's next up for Kaleb Sanders? What do you got going on today going forward?
The train, regardless of who wants to hop on, the train is moving, and I can feel it. I trust my intuition now more than ever, but I can feel big things coming. I'm excited. I'm really fired up. My team's fired up. The fact that I have a team is insane. Like I never knew I would. I always knew I had some grit, but I never knew I would make it this far in a place where other people kind of decide my fate. You know what I mean? Like people have to like you, or people have to. You really got to be able to connect with people, and it's like that's a difficult thing, for sure. So I'm just grateful. I'm just grateful as to how far I made it so far, and what's to be expected. Lots of new and different sounding music to come out next year, and we're starting to get a lot more help. I don't want to get ahead of myself as far as publicly talking about it, but there's some cool opportunities potentially in the future for next year, and we're gonna have some bigger shows, and they're gonna be cool. I'm stoked about it. I hope to travel to as many places as possible and release as much music as I can. Lord knows I have quite the catalog. I have like a lot.